All right, ladies and gents, welcome back to Two PTs One Podcast. We are on episode 22. I don't even know what day of lockdown we're on. I've just got past the point of caring because I don't feel like it's ever ended since March.
That's why Mike
But
is a hat.
yeah, the haircut is not happening for another 2 months yet again. We are joined today by a special guest who has hit some special numbers in the past couple of weeks. So we have invited him on, and we're basically just going to discuss the process and everything to do with it. So, Ash, do you want to introduce yourself?
Thank you. My name's Ash. I'm 23 and I train at Gym Etc. Congleton, where Miles is a PT. And I've been doing for the past year, well, for as long as we could without lockdowns, strength training mostly, and looking at 1 rep maxes and 3 rep maxes.
Fair enough.
Because for anyone that's listened to the podcast before, Ash is a client of Scott from episode 6. So obviously Scott's main area is strongman training, so I think a lot of that is carried over to you just straight away, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Unlike Miles, where he will just try and do his Olympic lifting wherever he can. But yeah, I think it's just a lot of discussing how, for those that don't know, you got to a 300k deadlift.
Yeah. Well, a lot of protein, a lot of food, a lot of hard work, I think, is the main 3 things. But just off the top of my head, I think having a plan and a structure, I think, is the most important thing. Since training with Scott, I've found that my workouts have been certainly more structured, more focused on what I need to do to get to where I want to be, if that makes sense. Whereas before I was with Scott, I found my training sessions were a bit all over the place, a bit just focusing on things that I wanted to do, not necessarily what I needed to do. So bench press being one of them, like ridiculous amount of times on the bench and probably not doing other things. Traditionally, I've not really been a very good deadlifter until I started working with Scott. Scott, his favourite thing is deadlifting, like he loves a deadlift, so he put them in my program.
Proper sumo suit now, hasn't he?
Yeah, big suit. Wants a Texas deadlift bar. It's just got the whole works. But he put them in my program, and at the very start, I hated them. Couldn't get the technique, couldn't do the grip. But basically, with his guidance, I stuck with it, and on the 27th of December, I think, I got the 300kg deadlift with Miles filming. So yeah, it was a good day.
It's a wonderful, wonderful thing to see. I mean, like, let's talk about the actual event first. I mean, we pretty much, the first time we tried it, we had dimmed off the whole gym, like cheering you on at one point. Well, first of all, we did a 3-hour workout, didn't we? We did literally pretty much did everything, even including singing to Backstreet Boys in the middle of the gym.
It was Christmas Eve, so we went out with a bang.
Yeah, and this guy would not shut up about deadlifting for the whole time. So we finally gave it to him. We finally let him have it, and he's just piling it on. And then I think you stumbled at one point saying you're just going to try for 300, didn't you?
Yeah, I got to. So I go up in plates really. So I warm up on 100, and then just go up, like put a plate aside on until I get to about 220, and then I do single reps. And my PB before that lift was 280. So I did a 260 and it moved a lot better than it's ever moved before. So with everyone egging me on, that's when we decided to go for the 300, decided to have a crack at it. And it didn't quite get it then, but after the big Christmas feed with lots of turkey and pigs and blankets, we managed to get it on the 27th.
I know, it's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, love it though. Loved it. Loved having everyone there, supporting me, getting me through it. I think is a big thing about 1 rep maxes. You need a good group, and you need a good circle of people around you to get you through it, because it's mentally difficult and physically difficult as well to, especially after you failed it. It'd be quite easy to walk away from it and not want to attempt it.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, how are you feeling? Obviously, I know you had the Christmas break beforehand. You literally had like a couple of days in between.
Yeah.
But how did you? It must have been on your mind that, like, because obviously we spoke about it, in our chats and stuff like that. So it must have been playing on your mind over the Christmas period whether you actually was going to pull it or not. I mean, yeah, what was going through your mind?
Well, with how close I got on the first attempt, like just below the knee, I was surprised that I actually got it off the floor. I wasn't expecting to move it. So I thought if I have a couple of days off and obviously get the calories in that I need to properly refeed, I thought I might have a chance, but in all honesty, I wasn't really optimistic. Didn't think it would happen.
Just just out of interest at the minute, what's current body weight?
130 kilos. So heavy.
Cal's very, very high then to maintain that.
Yeah. Especially over the Christmas period, they're probably a bit higher than they should. I'd probably say I'm knocking about the 120 to 125 mark as a good baseline. That's why I fluctuate from, but just a bit higher at the moment because of the overindulgence that I need to get rid of.
Damn. Almost like way double as me is now.
Well, to be fair, it probably is. I think I'm fluctuating on 80.
Yeah, I'm about
That's just...
still carrying.
I was like, yeah.
Simba.
Me and recorded yesterday. And we were discussing the fact of like goals for training and all this, and I was like, oh yeah, 200. 200 for me is going to be like a monumental thing, and then we're like, oh, we're gonna have Ash on as a guest, and it's gonna be like 300, and I'm just gonna be like, okay, that's like fine.
200 warm up.
But no, it is like, how much prep would you say went in over the weeks before just to be like, or is it just a spur of the moment to just be like, okay, we're gonna push up heavy?
I got my 280 just at the end of summer, so end of August, September time, and Scott, I actually jokingly said to Scott, "Oh, I'd love 300 by the end of the year," and we both had a laugh. We said it's probably attainable for maybe halfway through 2021, but probably not gettable for the end of 2020 because I was focusing on other things. And then I thought to myself a couple of weeks later that actually, if I just put real focus on my deadlifts, I thought I might have a chance. So I started like with really high volume, just getting the reps in there, getting the movements in there, and then I slowly increased the weight. So sets of 8 to 12, bring the weight up, bring the weight up, bring the weight up. Then worked on max triples probably from about November. So just working on just power through the movement, and then went on to singles literally a couple of weeks before I attempted it the first time. Just trying to build the power up and peak at the right time.
Yeah.
I was actually we've still been relatively new to weightlifting. I was actually quite surprised of how much preparation needs to go in just for one lift. So you'd think, oh, you need a week of good prep, good eating, resting, when actually it's weeks and months even just for one lift that you need to be focused on it for.
Yeah, but you think about even like, let's say, somewhat on the opposite side, if you think of even like boxers and stuff like that, their preparation like years, not even years, but maybe like just under a year for a 1 day event. So there's always a preparation for something to be, especially if you go for like a 1 round max. Like you literally try to get every variable right just to get that pinpoint, and every little weight count, doesn't it?
Yeah, that right time to attempt it.
Yeah.
So many factors that can go into it.
But saying that, Ash, like when you first met Scott, if I remember so rightly, it wasn't weight training. You met him on the treadmill, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about like what's your actual initial thing, because I know you've got a football history in you.
Yeah. So it's quite it's a weird story, really. I used to play a lot of football, as you know, as we've spoken about. Right from when I was 8 through till when I was 19, and I messed about with weights a bit. Like at academies that I was at, like I was at Stoke for a bit, and then Crewe, and then they put as part of the training. When you're about 14, 15, so you're going through your development stage really, put me on weights and things. Um, and that was really my only experience with it. I went to a gym a couple of times, but it was never what I thought I'd be doing as a hobby. And then when I was 19, I actually got an illness. So I had lymphoma and lung cancer, which I was it took me until just after turned just after 20, so about a year of battling it, and then got the all clear. But the treatment and the type of steroids that I was on to control it made me put about 5.5, 6 stone on. So I tried going back to football. Tried playing at the level that I was at before. Obviously, couldn't do it because of many different factors. But the one I thought that was most important was my weight gain. So I struggled for a couple of years to try and get that weight down. It didn't really shift. I lost a little bit and then put it back on, and then with putting it back on, it affected my mood, my how I felt about myself. So I used to have a big problem with comfort eating, um, and eating when I was like an emotional eater, and I used to deny it to myself, like used to lie to myself saying, "Oh, it'll be fine," when actually it made things worse. And it wasn't until I met Scott and talked to him about it that I actually realised that I had a problem and changed the way I looked at training. So I thought to lose weight, I had to go on a treadmill every day for hours and hours and hours, when actually there's lots of different methods to use, which has brought me to where I am today. When I first met Scott, my weight was just under 150 kilos, and I hadn't lifted a weight for 2 or 3 years. So that got me to that got me to the point of thinking, after talking to Scott, that actually I looked in the mirror after I had that conversation with him and said, I need to change. I need to do something different. So that's when I started weightlifting and doing cardio, but in different ways than I thought was necessary. Yeah. So
that must have been so hard on you, and the fact that a young bloke, like you said, 20, he's had what seems to be an all right kind of career at football, fit, healthy, ready. I mean, anyone really at the kind of age of 19, 20, you almost feel like you're kind of indestructible at that point.
Yeah, definitely.
That must have been a complete knock to your confidence. That obviously going through that, and then, like I said, it was. Did you say it was just over a year while you was battling that?
Yeah, so I was diagnosed in the October, and I got the all clear on the following year in November, mid-November, so a year and a month.
Jesus. Shit.
That's hard, that. But you know what, man? That is mad to think. Like, obviously, like you're saying, now you a couple of years later down the line and stuff like that, and you've reached a hell of a benchmark really for it. So you've proper like, I bet that must have like throughout every journey you did, every kind of like workouts. I bet there was always that resistance, like almost like stories that you kept telling yourself that you had to constantly keep facing while training.
Yeah, there's been many times where I've felt like quitting. I felt like I wasn't improving the way I should be. I felt like I wasn't at the same level as the people that I train with. So at our gym, there's a group of lads that I knock about with, train with, and I always used to say to Scott that I wanted to look like them, because they're like your typical in good shape, low percentage of body fat, and then me training next to them, I always felt a bit uncomfortable, and that was a bit of a mental block for a while, until until I started to gain a bit of strength, and I thought, actually, I can knock about. I can mix it with these lads. I can train with them. Yeah, I look a bit different, but need to just keep working, and then it'll come eventually. I used to try and do it in a month, so I used to try and get results like that, and be disappointed when it didn't work. When secretly I knew it wasn't obviously going to work. I used to like put myself in a full sense of security, thinking I can do this in record time and be ready. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's funny how people can do that. Like they always, especially, I always find with more people with weight loss, they purposely, without even noticing, set themselves up for failure. Majority,
Yeah,
you've just said it, then, and it almost takes like a new set of eyes for someone just to go, no, that's a wrong habit. I need to break this habit of cycle and stuff like that.
yeah.
Especially this time of year.
Oh,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah, definitely.
New year. Oh yeah, new me.
I'm still in
I
that.
tried everything from like a ketosis diet to just, excuse me, just simply a water diet. So not eating anything, just drinking water for 3 or 4 weeks at a time. Which is all well and good. Weight did go, but as soon as I started eating normally again, it just went straight back up.
Yeah. So if you could give it, like, for example, now, out of all the things that you've learned over the years, what would be the main ticking point to give out?
Um, as cliche as it may sound, it is a marathon, not a sprint. So you can't get from A to Z without going to B, C, D, E first. You've got to. I think if you try and cheat the process, you'll end up cheating yourself and setting you back further than where you started originally. I had so many setbacks when I've just tried to cheat the system. Probably cost me a couple of years, probably. Being
I think
honest.
especially with strength training as well. If you
Yeah.
just push it that little bit too hard, injuries, recovery is going to be shit. Sorry, now we're explicit. But it's just a knock-on effect to everything, and especially if you don't fully understand the whole process of making sure your training's right, your food's right, your sleep's right.
Yeah.
If you're just looking at it a one-prong approach, you're gonna get nowhere really.
Yeah. You'll see quick results for about 2 or 3 weeks, and then you'll flatline or start to go backwards.
Yeah. And was that hard to accept at first? Like, because you said to yourself, like, you already knew, but the moment you start maybe applying it for actually yourself, was it kind of hard for you to kind of accept the fact that this was going to take a while?
Yeah. I remember speaking to my mum and dad about it, saying that like why is it not working? Like I'm looking at people's stories online, and they're saying they've dropped X amount of weight or they've gained X amount of muscle in a short space of time, and I'm like, why can't I do that? Is there something wrong with me? There was actually a point where I wanted to go to the doctors for like blood tests and things to see if there was anything wrong with me, that I couldn't lose the weight that I wanted to, because it losing weight feels 3 times as longer than when you're in the gym on a calorie surplus. Definitely.
Yeah.
Like a day feels like 3 or 4 days. It's a long slog, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
I think. Funny question. So obviously saying that, you obviously think that a surplus is a lot harder than weight loss.
Oh no
And
no
that's
no! I meant a
everything.
surplus is easier in my opinion, miles easier.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I find it
Like
the other way.
oh no, like
Wait, you saying that eating more food is harder than trying to cut down weight when you're trying to lose weight?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Really?
no.
I guess
Yeah.
it comes from where you come from. I mean, if you've got like if you're coming from someone who's, let's say, skinny and has to eat a hell of a load of food, then
Yeah.
yeah, I can see that point. But if you're, let's say, the average sized man, myself, trying to cut down in weight, down in weight and stuff like that, like I love my food, so any drop of it, even like a I know I'm exaggerating it, but even like 100 dropped in calories, I get really hungry dead easily.
Yeah.
I say because I've got chocolate wrappers all around me at the moment.
Yeah, but in that respect, you're saying it in the dirty bulk style. I'm saying it in terms of like if you went down the clean route of a bulk and you're having like 6 meals a day, you're having to prep the meals, cook the meals, have time to eat the meals. For a lot of people, they haven't literally got the time. If people have got a 9 to 5 and they can't eat at the desk, or so like, imagine the scenario where you had someone that was like a postman and their energy expenditure was that high anyway, or their training sessions were that long that they literally had to have food within a training session. That's where I'm like, it's a lot harder to be in a surplus than it is for weight loss.
Yeah, but I agree with Ash in the fact that psychologically, it's a lot harder to cut because especially if you're really focused within training and stuff like that, you've got your emotions can get involved and stuff like that. You're sacrificing maybe social events and stuff like that. If you are massively into strength training, your strength, I don't really like to say it's hand in hand, but it can be affected, especially energy levels and stuff like that.
I feel it really down to me. It depends on how aggressive you are. So obviously we're not going to go into major detail on energy balance, but if the more you move, the more you can eat, and if you've still got that slight deficit, you can still have your food high.
Yeah.
Still have really good training sessions as long as your meals are timed around it, and be absolutely fine and have the weight drop off. That's my side of it anyway. I just feel like obviously when you're at the really deep down stages, like say prepping for stage, that's when it's going to be bad. But if it's gen pop style, I find it a lot easier for weight loss than weight gain.
Yeah. I only said that in a term of like Miles has said, psychologically. I find obviously calorie surplus a lot easier, but yeah, I understand when people, like you say, they have like a very active job, maybe not a lot of time to prep. Because I imagine prepping is, even for calorie deficits, prepping's what takes the most time, like weighing everything out, making sure you've got the ingredients in to make what you want, and calorie tracking. I mean, as simple as MyFitnessPal or other apps may be, it still takes time out of a day to make sure you've got everything, the weights are in. So I do see what you're saying with that.
Miles doesn't look too sure.
No, I agree on some points with that. I think it all depends. Again, it's one of the things. It'll depend on person to person. But yeah, I think if I were to put myself in that kind of shoes, I would definitely find calorie deficit being a lot harder, just because I love food. But yes. But anyway, Ash. So right, you've got your 300k deadlift. What's next?
Well, a couple of things in the pipeline. I'd love to do a competition. After watching Scott and a couple of other guys do a competition last year in Preston, I thought that it was a really good thing to get involved in, and really it was really good to have goals, like specific goals to aim for. So the challenge I've set myself for this year is to get into a weight categorized strongman competition, and that means getting down to 105 kg. So that is my main target for 2021.
Wow.
But it depends on how aggressive you are and how much energy you have for training.
Yeah, it does indeed. It does indeed.
So how come that specific kind of weight group and stuff like that? Like, I'm sure at the moment there are current weight groups at where you're at the moment.
105 kg is the last weight group before you get to the opens. So any weight category.
That is. So
it's a long way to go, but like I said earlier, the hardest thing for me it isn't the training, it's the food, it's the psychological effects it has, even completely not gym related. So effects on my mood, my sleep, my work performance. It all takes a hit when I'm in a calorie deficit, which I find quite difficult to deal with at times.
How long are your training sessions for, like strongman style?
Probably between an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Yeah, that's longer than me. Then, like, are you like feeding during your sessions as well? Or
no, I don't. I don't normally. I actually take my creatine during my session, but I don't have any like protein powders, protein bars, any sweets or whatever you might have in the gym. I just go straight through.
that's fine.
Probably due to the pre-workout I have been quite intense, so I can't think of anything other than anything worse than eating.
Which one is it?
The Hyde sachets.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I ever took a pre, and I think it was Hyde, but I trained, went for food, and I was sitting there, and I was like,
yeah, like all the time.
I mean, I was probably overwhelmed by it. I think my like cheeks flustered and stuff. Like, I thought something was taken over.
That's the one you gave me, wasn't it, Miles?
Yeah,
The
I think
samples.
so.
Yeah, I still haven't tried that.
Them Hyde ones have done the rounds at the gym because I was given them by Scott.
I think everyone probably gym etc. has probably had a little go of Hyde.
Yeah.
Definitely not recommended. I think I did it once and I was like, I'm off pre-workout forever.
Sponsorship opportunity.
No,
AB is the worst. AB is just ridiculous, and it's like I think it's like 20 quid a tub at the minute as well, and it's just like I tried it twice and I sold it because it's just way too strong. Niacin flushes during a training session. I was just coming out with like red patches everywhere. I was like, yeah, this ain't for me.
Feels like pins. It felt like pin. The first time I did it, pins and needles in my face, which was quite a unexpected reaction, really.
It's horrible. I mean, I've never been a massive fan of pre-workout anyway. I mean, caffeine for me has always done the trick. And if I ever wanted to get a little bit of more of a buzz, I always put a bit of beta alanine into my drinks and stuff like that.
Have you ever gone down stim free routes?
No.
Okay. Because I think now for my training sessions, I do stim free pretty much all the time, unless it's like a really, really low energy day. But then because I can manipulate food either on the morning or the night before if it's an early training session, I can get away with it a bit more. I cannot remember the last time I trained late because I just absolutely hate doing it. Yeah. I'm lucky enough that I don't need to do it.
I'd rather do it earlier than late.
Yeah, same there. I can get it in the fact that people obviously, like I said, they want to obviously have an extra little buzz, an extra bit of stimulus in them and stuff like that. But I've always been the kind of person who's like, right, before any of that goes around my head, I need to make sure like I'm eating right, sleeping right, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which leads into my next question there, Ash. Like obviously, like you're saying now, it sounds like you've got yourself another kind of goal in mind and stuff like that. Have you got anything in preparation or anything like that? Is there anything that you're starting to do right now, especially in obviously there's lockdown?
So I've chatted to great lengths with Scott about my training. So we decided to keep how my sessions are split now. We start with a heavy compound. So we've got 4 sessions. So we do bench on 1, deads on the other, squats on the 3rd, and overhead press on the 4th. And then so I keep them moving at a relatively high weight. And then my training after, instead of doing like accessory work or maybe other compounds, or variants of compounds, I'm doing circuits. So to get my body moving, burn more calories, have more steps, basically get moving, and that's the plan until we see my weight getting towards where I want to be, the end goal. So a lot different than what I'm used to, I'd say, because I'm used to just doing your strong, obviously your specialized strongman events, but then say if it was a push day, it'd be like a barbell bench, dumbbell shoulder press, tricep pull downs, press ups, the conventional stuff really.
Yeah, the 2
reps,
5-minute rests.
Yeah, big 2 to 5-minute rests, definitely.
Now, saying that actually, like every time I've seen you in the gym and all that, I mean, you can definitely tell you're in the gym, man. You're one of the loudest people I know. But yeah, you definitely there's no stopping all that. You always constantly go at it at all times. So
yeah, I wouldn't. I'm not being like big-headed or anything when I say this, but I would say that my training is pretty on point. I do go really hard with my training. From a weight point of view, it's definitely my diet that's let me down, which I'm trying to address now. Like I said earlier, I used to do on like crazy diets, keto diets, water diets, basically the online diets that say they'll work in 6 weeks, which are a load of shite, really.
Are you on booty as well?
Say again?
You on booty as well?
No.
Skinny jobs.
Did Slimming World for a period of time.
How was that?
If you've got to say it air, then you know it's shit.
It wasn't the worst. Wasn't the best though either.
Yeah.
Was that in the stage where they were saying like so many sins for foods?
Yeah, 25 sins a day were allowed, and they give you a little book saying what's each food's got.
I mean, I get the concept of it, but I mean, when a chopped banana is a sin and a whole banana isn't, I feel like the fundamentals are maybe a little bit missing there. Maybe a little bit.
But it demonizes food way too much.
It definitely puts a stem on what food is good and what food bad, and that I think in itself it creates a bad relationship and stuff like that with people.
Yeah.
Could you imagine saying to someone that's like got to get 8,000 calories in a day to do strongman training and being like, "Oh yeah, you can't have a molar yogurt because it's 3 sins."
Yeah, it's doesn't go hand in hand, really, does it?
I'm not going to go down slating Weight Watchers or anything like that. I would think if you've seen Little Britain, it slates it enough.
Yeah.
I don't think. Imagine Little Britain in a word like today. I don't think it could be aired easily.
Oh, it'd be shut down after one. Either one episode, or it wouldn't even make the TV.
Yeah.
There's so many stuff though that I listen and I hear that it's been complained to Ofcom. I'm like, why are you watching it anyway? Because you know it's going to be like that kind of thing. Like, you know it's going to be something that you're going to complain about, so don't put it on.
Yeah.
It's like,
go for
I'm a celebrity.
Definitely.
So
what world we live in.
So what's the current plan with lockdown 3 at the moment there, Ash? What's what we're looking at for training?
I'm quite fortunate enough to have a little bit of kit at home. So I've got a couple of adjustable dumbbells, a bar, a bench. So I'm doing bits, doing what I can. I know it's difficult for myself and everybody else in these times to maximize training, but we've got to do what we can do. Scott, actually, funnily, you said that he's sending me my new program through tonight. So with all the different circuits and stuff that I can do on, just to get me moving, get me cutting, basically.
Yeah. Am I going to be seeing you running through the streets of Congleton anytime soon?
Well, running is a word for it. Power walking, maybe.
Power walking. Get the dumbbells out.
Sliding at the minute with this weather.
Yeah. So the overall aim really is to still do the lifts I can do now, just at a lower body weight. So reduce body fat, really. I'm happy with the muscle growth and the muscle amount that I've got, the muscle percentage. It's just body fat is the only red flag at the minute. Need to reduce that a little bit.
Have you given you, obviously, with that times of obviously no competition being set a date, have you gave yourself a kind of length of how long you want to take when it comes to this cut?
I'm just going to take it. I've given myself the first 6 months just to see where we get after 6 months. Because I think with being unsure when gyms are going to be open, how long they're going to stay open for, I need to give myself a longer period of time than normal. And also I need to make sure I can stay consistent with it. I think consistency, especially with cutting, well, with anything in the gym, really, consistency is the main ingredient to anybody's training. You need to be consistent, or else you won't get anywhere. So once I've learned myself that I can actually stay consistent and do what I need to do the right things, then we'll look at going a further 6 months, seeing where we are. So probably the end of 2021. If I'm at a level where I think, yeah, I'm okay, I'm nearly at my weight target and I'm still feeling strong enough. Probably looking to compete start of 2022.
Wow. Good man. Good and setting all that. Right, Mag, I think I've pretty much talked about everything I wanted to talk about. Anything you want to add before we close things up?
Um,
Don't hurt yourself thinking.
just ignore this steam coming out my ear.
I can see the cogs working.
I'll just have a flick through because it's just obviously with something as big as a 300. Like I know obviously it's not the 500 that Eddie was saying, but how long would you say it took you to fully recover from that session?
I can still feel it even now.
So what's that? 10 days? No, 11 days.
Yeah. It's not a pain as such. It's just a little bit like a dull ache.
Where?
Just the lower part of my back.
Oh, no, that's fair. I think everyone for a deadlift, no matter what you do, is going to have some lower back pain or distress.
Yeah.
But I think it's... Has anything been put into your training to like combat lower back as a target, or is it just...
I've never really suffered with any back problems as such, so there's nothing really to like stretch it or anything in there. I've got obviously my normal stretches to warm up and stuff.
Yeah.
And in terms of actual training, I've got things in there that will help with the deadlift. It's not just doing deadlifts over and over again.
Yeah.
So there is actions and things in place to improve it without actually doing the event, if that makes sense.
Has it always been traditional?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't know if you'd ever like experimented with sumo or anything like that.
No, and never see me on the trap bar either.
I knew that was coming. I could just see your face.
Just little light bulb up here, just go.
I could just see the whole smirk coming along. And it's like, oh god, here it comes.
Yeah, but no, it's always been the conventional deadlift.
I haven't trained on a trap bar since I left gym, etc.
Yeah, your gym doesn't have one, does it?
No, but it's a better gym anyway.
Right. No,
On that note,
you have been a fantastic guest. I think a lot of people, whether they are in their journeys and stuff like that, is going to be touched by your story and stuff like that. I think you've gone through a long way, especially when you've dealt with quite a lot and stuff like that. I do have one more thing to ask you. Actually, two more things to ask you. So, if you obviously, let's say, for example, now, a lot of people are probably struggling with mental health. A lot of people are really kind of going through it at the moment with obviously doing home workouts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What would your tips be to challenge that at the moment?
To anybody that's struggling with any form of mental health or mental struggles, honestly, what I found best was just simply talking to somebody. I used to bottle up all my emotions, all my thoughts, kept them to myself because I thought no one wants to hear it. I don't want to burden myself on people. But it's surprising when you keep your circle close how much they actually listen and how much you can get back. And in terms of training, if you've got all the kit in the world or no kit in the world, everyone's in the same boat. None of the gyms are open. If you go and do a full 3 hour workout, or if you do 10 press ups, it's still work. So just keep going. Like, it's not going to be like this forever. It's just, well, yeah. Fingers crossed. It's not going to be like this forever, but yeah, just keep going.
I love it. Love it. And just like you, and the last question I wanted to ask you was like, who's in the final of the Carabao Cup final?
I knew it. I knew someone was coming right at the end.
For people who probably have not noticed, the reason why I'm wearing a Manchester City shirt right now is because Ash is a big red, and I would not be any more happier just to gloat it in his face.
Well, I mean, it is a Mickey Mouse competition at the end
Oh,
of the
here
day.
we go.
Pep Guardiola is a fraud, and I think you've bought it really. You've bought your success.
Well, we've technically bought the FA Cup today, haven't we?
I was going to say, like, haven't you just spent like 80 million on
No,
Maguire?
we produced players through the academy. Rashford's better than Aguero. That's all I've got to say on the matter.
I'm just glad you're not saying Bruno's better than bloody Kevin De Bruyne because that ain't true.
I said that earlier. I don't think I need to say it again.
Right. Well, we don't say lies on this podcast. Anyway, hope you guys hope you enjoy today's episode. It's definitely been an interesting one. Thank you again, Ash, for obviously being on the podcast. For anyone who is listening, Ash, where can the people find you?
Say again, sorry, mate.
Where can the people find you?
Find me?
Yeah.
Socials.
I'm not saying for your dress and stuff like that. I'm saying on your socials and stuff like that. Where can people follow you and stuff like that?
All right, I was going to say Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Got and on Instagram as well. Got a specific gym page for my journey. It's Fat Boy to Strong Man, so it's just a journey of being non-trained, like overweight, not knowing what I'm doing, and putting processes in to change me and the journey that I've been on, which I hope if I inspire one person to get in the gym or try something new, then I can't ask for any more than that.
Excellent. Brilliant. Right, guys. That is up for us today. If you are watching this in our YouTube channel, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Music, make sure you give us a rate of 5-star and also subscribe. But most of all, share this with your mother, your friends, your sister, anyone. Share it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and recently Bebo. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. We'll see you all in the next one. Peace.
Peace.
Legendary.